What's up, guys? Today on Decent Exposure, we have our good buddy Jackson Grove, the owner of Nuthin Fancy. What up, dude?
What up, dog? How you been, man?
Good.
Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me on. It's my first podcast ever, so
Sweet.
yeah, I'm kind of nervous.
Are you a little nervous?
Yeah.
Them butterflies?
Oh yeah, dude. I don't know how these things work, but
Yeah, dude, we're just going to ask you some
Pretty
questions.
chill.
And
yeah,
bro.
investigate me.
yeah, we'll know everything about Jackson by the
So
end
if y'all
of this
haven't
podcast.
noticed our hats,
Yeah.
they say Nuthin Fancy. And for those of y'all that live under a rock, it's the newest stylish hat in the game. And how about you just tell us, like, walk us through, like, how Nuthin Fancy
Yeah, dude, so
came
what
about,
is
how you-
Nuthin Fancy?
Yeah.
Nuthin Fancy is an outdoor lifestyle brand to me, but most people know us for our headwear. But it's an outdoor lifestyle brand that I started when I was in community college.
So take us through the early years of Nuthin Fancy. So community college, so you're probably, what, 19, 20, 21?
Yeah, I was 19, and I had just a lot of free time on my hands to think about what I wanted to do with my life, and I wanted to do something cool. I was working construction for my dad, so I kind of knew what I didn't want to do the rest of my life. Like,
Sometimes that's what it takes.
yeah. I mean, I was working construction for my dad since like I was a junior in high school, and it just taught me like great work ethic, and yeah, I knew I was going to be going to school after high school for college, but I was going to be going to community college, so I was going to be working full time, and so I just wanted to put my money into something that could maybe give me a return someday.
Was Nuthin Fancy the first, like, idea you had?
Dude, that was
kind
the
of develop?
exact same question I was just about to ask.
No, it wasn't. So I mean, there was actually like two other things. Yeah, I hope somebody might. I don't care if anybody steals these ideas anymore, but but at first I was doing like I was big into videograph. Yeah, I was doing videos all the time. I don't know how to
really?
say
I
that.
didn't know that.
How do you say
Videography?
Yeah.
videography? All right, sorry. I'm bad, dude. That's why I went to community college too, because I was an idiot.
Hey, got you here.
Yeah, dude.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not the best at English, but yeah. So I started out in videography. I got into it, like, and then I got to a point where I was just trying to figure out like if I really wanted to go into that full time and take the next step and trying to get better at it, or I could just like kind of like make my own social media page and just do a lot of social media marketing and try to make a brand. So that's what I ended up doing. I just came to the point where I was like, I'm just going to try to make a brand.
Yeah.
But I was doing a lot of videos of my brother raced professional motocross.
Oh, cool.
So I had the opportunities to go take videos of him riding like every evening when I like got off work or got out of school. Like he would be practicing every evening at our track at our house. So I'd be taking iPhone videos. So I got to learn how to like edit back then, and that helped me with just creating the brand. And my page back then was called Elevate Dirt Films.
Elevate Dirt.
Dude, and it was like back when like Instagram had like 15-second clips. So if you had to like pull your coolest shit
grind,
out
yeah.
in 15 seconds,
That's
it was like, you got to make that video badass in 15 seconds.
So the name Nuthin Fancy, like, what was the birth of that? Did you come up with that just in your sleep, or?
No, I did not come up with that in my sleep. It just came. We were listening to a lot of classic rock when I was in community college. I was hanging out with my older brother and my older cousin, and they were kind of like my influences growing up, and
Yeah.
we were just cranking classic rock music, and I don't know, we just came up with the idea one day. We're just like, and credit to them, I mean, they were like, we all came up with an idea we came up with an idea, and we were just thinking about it for a long time, and then like I finally was like, yeah, let's do something with it. Like, and they're just like, I just didn't feel like they didn't know how to do anything with it, but I was at a point where I wanted to do something and make it work. So I already had a social media page. It was called Front Porch Confessions, and it was just fucking stupid videos and shit.
Front Porch Confessions. That's a catchy name, dude.
Yeah, but I was like, man, I don't know if I can make like a brand out of it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a clothing brand.
Was it hats first?
Yeah, I never made any merch for Front Porch Confessions.
Like when you came up with Nuthin Fancy and you said, I want to do something with this, did you just start making hats or just
Yeah,
stickers?
it started. I literally made my first 16. I made my first batch of hats was off like one of those websites called custom imprint or whatever.
Yeah.
Custom ink.
Custom ink,
Yeah, I got like the shittiest hats.
Do you still have like any of those hats?
Dude,
left?
I know a couple people that they were just like my brother's friends that bought those off of me. They probably still have it.
Dude, you need to get one and like frame it for real.
I know.
That'd be dope.
There's
What year was that? Do you remember?
2017.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the moment that y'all really took off? Was it one moment, or was it just a grind that just slowly grew? Or
Yeah, it was a grind.
Nice.
It was a steady grind, and that's like I tell this people. I feel like I tell this story a lot, and I feel like it should try to translate to a lot of people, because when people start things, they like think that it's going to happen overnight, but it doesn't.
For sure.
And you shouldn't set high expectations for yourself right off the bat, because then you're just going to fail immediately.
Yeah.
You're going to put yourself in a. I took a lot of baby steps. Yeah, I did get down on myself, here and there when I was like in college. I was like, man, this shit's never going to work. But I always had that, college degree in my back pocket if I needed to go get a regular job or something.
Yeah. So are your inspirations like business people or people in social media or?
Yeah. I was talking about this the other day. I think one of my biggest business inspirations is Kyle Forgard from Full Send.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Beast,
like,
dude. Seriously.
He's like, I actually like aspired like to a lot of things that he's doing. I don't want to make my brand exactly like his, but the fact that he's a young entrepreneur and he's just kicking ass is just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 30 now, but like he started Full Send when he was probably in his early 20s. And everybody thinks he just blew up overnight, but it was like 8 years.
Yeah.
Of
They
him
always
just,
say it takes like a few years to blow up overnight.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And everybody notices like, oh my God, you guys blew up. Like, no, dude, it took 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
in a loyal fan base.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you started out, were you like making the hats, or you said you're doing custom ink? So did it transition into like, did y'all ever start making them like by hand actually? Or
No, I never did by hand. I've never made a hat by hand, but I was using a lot of like local embroidery shops.
That's sick.
First starting out, and
were you shipping those out like through your house, or did you start out at like like a bedroom?
yeah, dude, I was
that's
working out of a
awesome.
spare bedroom at my parents' house. Like I was like had like probably this much space, and I'd just be cranking out like packing boxes like on my freaking knees, like packing boxes
Making
of
shit
hats.
happen.
Dude, and I'd be carrying them downstairs, like throw them in the back of my truck, taking them to the post office like every day. I mean,
I bet you in the post office, ladies and
Dude.
guys got tight.
I hated the post office. I'll never use the post office ever again.
Gosh.
Everybody asks me why I just use UPS, because USPS, the post office, is the worst service.
I bet when
in
you're
America.
sending out that
It's
much
like-
shit, I bet they're so
Competes
tired
with
of you
D&B.
too.
Dude, it's the worst.
Oh, that's
They piss
hilarious.
me off so bad. And then they'll like call me. They'll still call me and be like, "We just want to check in and see how." I'm like, dude, I stopped using you guys like 3 years ago. You can stop calling me. It's fucking horrible.
How did the idea of you creating these hats and building Nuthin Fancy brand and then transition it into, sending artists hats or doing deals with artists or them wearing it at shows and concerts? Like, did you just have the idea one day, like maybe I should send these guys some hats and they'll wear them, or did they reach out to you? Or
No, I had the idea myself, and I had like a lot of good mentors. Like when I was first starting, I reached out to people and asked for advice. Like some guys from Blue Otter, like I was asking them guys for advice, how to do things, and they were a big help. This guy, Hunter Johnson, he was the founder of Blue Otter, and
Cool.
he's been a big help to me. I can't thank him enough. And Jared Wade, those guys, I mean, those are guys that like I first met in the industry, and they were a big help to me, like mentor wise, like how to like get started and just pointing me in the right direction for things. But so yeah, I mean the whole artist thing kind of, I was just reaching out to people.
yeah,
And then Hardy, I reached out to him probably in 2019. Yeah, it's 2019. It was like the fall, like end of summer. I was actually on a job site. I was in a loader, and one of my friends texted me and was like, "Dude, you need to like send this guy hats." And I was like, "You think so?" Like, at that time I'd never listened to much of Hardy's music. I've heard of him.
yeah.
but I didn't know that he was like a really good songwriter. And then I started like doing more research about him, like, and I started listening to more of his music. And then I finally reached out to him on Instagram and just offered. I was like, hey man, like, can I send you some hats? You know, like, no big deal if you don't wear them. Like, it's not a big deal. I just would see, like, I feel like you would kind of fit the brand if you like wore these hats. And I'm talking, he probably had less than 20,000 Instagram followers at the time. And yeah, so I sent him stuff and just kept in touch with him. And I linked up with him later that fall at a concert up in Pennsylvania, and finally got to meet him and just talk to him. And I was like, hey, this guy's a cool dude.
That's
you know?
sick, dude.
Yeah.
Especially now, I feel like that's how a lot of people, like, I feel like that's a great marketing way, especially like me being at all these shows. And if I ever see like somebody with a cool hat or shirt, I'll make it like a priority to go up to him and like, dude, I love your shirt or hat.
Yeah.
What brand is that? And I feel like over the past year, I've been traveling so much and going to all these shows. I've seen like Nuthin Fancy's everywhere, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everywhere.
It's mind blowing to me, and like, I don't even live down here.
But, yeah.
And
I think it's
it's
a big part too of you like,
Yeah.
Sending Hardy stuff or whoever it is, like wearing it at shows. Like people want to, wear like the next cool thing. And like if all, like the artists are wearing it, like people want.
Yeah, and I hope
it.
people wear it because it's a comfortable hat too. I know it's like, people get into like a popularity contest and all that, but I really strive to make my hats like really comfortable.
It's great quality.
Yeah, I love it. I have a real big head and like shit don't fit my head right, but these actually do fit my head.
So do y'all have any projects that you're looking to like expand Nuthin Fancy outside of like hats and apparel, like making content or
Well, yeah, we're trying to start a podcast. So.
Nice. Hey,
Hell yeah.
But everything's a learning process.
No,
I mean,
100%. We had this idea over a year before we even like did our first episode.
Yeah.
And just learning, it's a learning curve.
It is, yeah. I feel like you can't just learn things overnight, but
That's great, dude. What is what's like the day-to-day life for like Jackson Grove at Nuthin Fancy? Like during a work week. Like,
during a work week?
Yeah.
It's a good
like,
question.
What's your from the time you go into work, you leave? Like,
I'm not
what are you doing nowadays?
I'm not a morning person, but I do. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility now. I mean, I got 4 employees now, and I have a warehouse.
Shout out to the warehouse, dude. That place is sick.
Yeah. So I have a lot of responsibility, so I have no choice but to get up early. I'm usually in the warehouse around 8:30. Yeah, it differs. If you're being your own boss, you can get in whenever. But I go work, get stuff done. During the wintertime is like where I'm really cranking out new ideas. Because when it starts getting warm out, it's hard to focus on new projects. So like during Christmas time and after like Black Friday, I'm just dialed in thinking about all of next year's stuff.
Yeah.
And and that's another thing. Like with a clothing brand, like when I first started, I had no clue that you have to start things like a year ahead of time for projects.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because if you're outsourcing things to like different places, I mean, you're looking at lead times of either like 6 months.
And I'm sure, shit goes wrong just naturally. So now,
Yeah.
And when things get behind schedule, I'm sure that's just a chain of stress.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's been a learning curve. Like I didn't major in fashion or design. I was a business major. So
I don't know if any fashionistas or designers did either.
yeah, it's difficult. I mean, if you ever want to learn something, just start your own business, because if you're really passionate about it, you'll try to figure out everything you can, and you'll learn something new every day. So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Whenever you were in community college and you had the started the brand and I guess really putting your time and effort into it, do you remember the time whenever you made the transition from like, okay, I don't think I'm going to do construction anymore, like I'm going to go all in with this?
Yeah.
Like, take us through that. Like, what is that like?
It was actually a pretty surreal moment for me, because I stopped working for my dad probably like a year before I started going full-time in Nuthin Fancy. But I was in my last year of college, which COVID came in to play in 2020 of springtime. And I was working for an auctioneer company, doing marketing stuff.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the summer, like things were getting really slow, and my boss was like just laid me off before my last semester of college of fall 2020.
Yeah.
So I was like, shit, dude. Like, I need to,
Blessing in disguise.
It was, because my last semester of college was very tough because I had like a big project to do. And then I had a lot more things going on with Nuthin Fancy. So I was just like, I'm just going to focus on Nuthin Fancy and school. And then when I got done that semester, my uncle, my cousin's dad, he had this small little place in the basement that he said he could rent out to me for cheap. And I was like, that's all I needed. I just needed to get out of my parents' like house.
Yeah.
And just get into a small place where I could operate. So I was in there from January 2021 till actually this past spring of 2023. I just moved out of that place. And dude, I was so tight in there. I had 2 extra storage spaces. Like, I was waiting for this big warehouse that I was waiting on for like 5 months probably. So I was way overdue to get out of that place. And now we're in a big warehouse where we can operate as a team. So it's good. Yeah.
Nice.
How important is that to have like your team that close to you? Like,
It's very important. I think it's all about the camaraderie. That's what I feel like a lot of brands don't realize nowadays. Like, there's a lot of people that are like, hey man, like, you ever think about just drop shipping stuff? I'm like, yeah, I do, but like, you can't start a brand that way.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have a team. Like, just like you guys here, like, you build that camaraderie. Like, look at the Pat McAfee show. Like, they're his boys, and they built that from the ground up. You know what I mean? And they're still there.
It's true.
And that's why it's so good. So I think you have to have that environment where, like, everybody's working together and you're just working towards the same goals of building that freaking empire.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm fired up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, man.
So, like, when you're not working, what kind of things you like to do? Like, take your mind off business and everything?
Yeah, obviously, I make it a habit of trying to work out. So that gets,
Nice.
like, if I have a bad day at work or, like, something like that, I'll just go work out and just get that off my mind.
Do you have, like, a routine, or is it just, like, whenever you have time?
I like working out in the evenings,
Nice.
so I'll go work all day, and then as soon as I get off work, I'll go just release all that, any bad energy that I may have, just go work out, and then, I'll usually I'll get home around 7,
Nice.
7:30, like during the winter time. I'm out the door in the mornings before 8 o'clock, and I'm back home around 7 p.m.
Damn.
Yeah, so
Full day.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you own your own business. You don't really give a shit.
You travel a lot on the weekends?
I like to travel, and I also do not like to travel. Like, I like staying home.
Yeah.
And just like, I like being in a routine so I can get stuff done. I feel like every time I travel, it's good to get a break. But as soon as you get back, you're like, God, I got to get in the routine.
It like takes extra work to get back into the swing.
Yeah, because I feel like if I'm not in my routine, I can't really accomplish things.
Yeah.
But it's definitely good. I like, for every weekend that I'm away, I like to be back home. So
Nice.
I give a lot of credit to like all the people, like, I mean, you like going out on tour with people. I'm like, dude, I'd be screwed up.
Yeah, dude, it's a grind for sure.
Yeah.
And you have to, like, when I was first going on tour, like, it was so much fun. But then you, like you said, a routine. Like, when I'm on the road, you have to get a routine in. Like, you got to, eat right. You got to fucking drink enough water, try to get enough sleep.
Yeah.
Like, move your body around. And
It's hard, especially as you get older. You don't realize, like, I'm only 25, but, just in between 21 and 25, like, it's crazy how much you see, like, just dealing with hangovers.
Yes.
If you have a hangover, it's...
had one of those this morning. Shout out to the Nuthin Fancy round last night.
Yeah. But, yeah, you just have to be more,
Be more aware of our age. And
Exactly. Yeah. But I like being in the routine. I do like traveling, but I also like being back home. I'm really close with my family, my brother, and my parents. Like, I like being around them as much as I can, just as much as I like hanging out with my friends. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you're going to stay, like, living there for the indefinite future? Or?
So you live in Maryland, right?
Yeah, I live in Maryland.
Cool.
Frederick, Maryland. But
So yeah, you're gonna stay around there.
well, I don't know. I mean,
keep the headquarters there.
I'm getting close to. I got a lease on this warehouse, so I think after this lease is up, I'll make the decision of whether I come here or stay out there. I mean,
Is there other places that you
Maybe
look
both.
I mean, I
Like
definitely
Chaz running the old one.
Yeah. I definitely would like to try to find a place down here, whether it's land. Like I just,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
land.
dude,
is
y'all would do great down here.
For
It's cool.
sure.
Like,
I mean, I thought y'all were down here
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of how much I see the Nothing Fancy stuff.
there'd be a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity. Like when I first moved to town, or even before I moved to town, I didn't really understand. Like, they always say like you have to be in town. I was, like being in music, I guess. But
Yeah.
I guess now like how marketing's working and the internet, like any really brand can be here. But when you're here,
Yeah.
there's just so many like just quick opportunities that happen. And like you go out to Red Door for a round, and like after a
Yeah.
round, and you meet somebody, and then they end up being like a partner down the road or something crazy.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's unreal.
But I've been here a lot of times, so I mean,
I met y'all here.
Yeah.
Jason, shout out to Jason Aldean's rooftop.
yeah. So
Another
it's like,
hangover.
I mean, I've been down here a bunch of times. I mean, I dated a girl down here probably it was like 3 years ago. I dated her for a year, and like I just got to know Nashville back then as well. So I was always meeting people, and I don't think yeah, I mean, it would be better if I lived down here, but I also think that it's good for me to live back home because it keeps my mind like straight. It gives me that, that break.
Yeah, for
Of
sure.
like, I feel like if you stay down here, you get caught up with like people that really aren't your friends and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easy to do for sure.
Yeah, and so I think it's good. It's a good part about being back home in Maryland, but also coming down here a lot. So, yep.
Dude, what inspires like your creative process when you're making a hat? So like I feel like now with how Nothing Fancy is and how big it's getting, like if I was maybe 50 yards away from you and I saw a hat, I couldn't read Nothing Fancy on it probably, but I could make it out and like, dude, that looks like a Nothing Fancy hat.
Yeah,
Did that
my
just-
creative, like when I first started, I didn't know. I literally made that logo on Canva.
Yeah,
that
I use
website.
Canva. Yeah, dude, Canva's
Yeah,
awesome.
so I mean, I was in college. I didn't know how to use any of like the Adobe stuff, and but the simpler the better, and
Okay.
that's a lot of people don't understand is that you
Less is
really
more.
Yeah, less is more, and people love different colors. So it's just like when you think about a Nike shoe, people want a color in every a color for every type of
the
shoe.
same design, just different.
Yeah. And I learned that when I was just getting started. Somebody was telling me, he was like, don't worry about trying to come up with anything crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just keep it simple. And that's why I think it's funny, like our motto is keep it simple. Like, don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the creative process is, I get a lot of ideas from 80s stuff, 80s and 90s, whether it's music, the people. I'm a big Skynyrd fan. I love
Nice.
Skynyrd. Pearl Jam. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
There was me and my cousin. I still haven't seen this video, but me and my cousin were like 5 years old, and we had like a drum set and like a guitar down in his basement, and there's like a video of us like rocking out to like Pearl Jam in his basement. And I still haven't seen it.
That's
But
awesome.
like that's where like my inspiration came from. I remember we go to Loretta's every year because I race motocross, and me and my dad, we would have long like RV rides, and the CDs he had were just like, I was talking to Chaz about this the other day, it was like Stain, he had Stain, a Stain CD, Hank Williams CD, like the Pressure Is On CD, and like classic hits of 70s. So it was just embodied into me at a young age.
Yeah.
But I didn't start appreciating the music really. I realized how good the music was
dude.
when I was like 18.
Same.
Yeah,
My dad
you know
used
what I
to
mean?
listen to all that too, and like my mom would always change it. And then like when I grew up too, I was like, dude, you were listening to some really good music. I don't know why mom always changed it.
Yeah, like my mom would get pissed like when my dad just like turn that shit up in the RV when we're driving. She's like, oh my God, like turn that shit off. I'm tired of hearing it.
I can relate to that so well.
Yeah, but
my dad would be cranking Nickelback and they'd just turn it out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but that's where my inspiration comes from. I'll go back and look at things from whether what those people were wearing or like their album covers, like their cover, like the colors that they were using back then.
Yeah.
Like that takeover we just did, that art, I was looking at an old poster from it was like an old Dire Straits poster, and I kind of got like the inspiration from that.
That's sick.
Yeah, but I like all that old stuff. So yeah,
sick. Man. So the guys that work with you, I guess like having like a small brand that you know gets really big and you need employees. And you have a warehouse and it's a small team too, and you know it gets the job done obviously. But are they just guys you grew up with? Like are they like homies? Did they kind of there from the jump? Or
Andre, he's my VP of operations. I hired him 2 years ago, like when I was still in that small little place, and he was just looking for like a part-time job. Mm-hmm. But I told him, I was like, dude, you know, I don't know how invested you want to be into it. Like, you're not going to be making a lot of money at first, but, you know, one day, like, I
stick around.
Stick around, like, you know, and he's still with me.
That's awesome.
I actually went to high school with him, but he was back and forth from, like, Wisconsin and Maryland every year because he had parents that lived in different states, so.
Gotcha.
But Donnie is my CMO, and he was a recent hire back in October. I met him at a trade show 2 years ago, and he was always doing side work for me between then and now. Mm-hmm. And he like hit me up about 5 months ago and was like, hey, you know, keep me in mind if you ever looking to hire somebody. And I was coming to the point where I was like, dude, I gotta like start delegating it because my business is getting too big and I can't focus on, you know, all this stuff that I should be focusing on because I got a million things on my plate. Yeah. So it's all about delegating. And
where did you like find that business model? Like, was it something you learned in school or YouTube, or you just came up with it on your own?
I tried to learn it in school. I got my degree and stuff, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of good mentors. There's a lot of people behind the scenes. Like I got lucky enough where I was in community college and I was in a business law class, and my professor at the time, I was asking him a bunch of questions after class, like, you know, how do you do this, like, with your business and blah, blah, blah. Well, like, a year later, I ended up, like, circling back with him. And he was like, if you ever need any help, you know, I can help you. Well, long story short, he's been helping me ever since. And I think that's really,
that's awesome.
That's a big key. Awesome. Like, that's been a huge help. Like, he's very undercover. I can't give enough thanks to him.
Nice.
So that's a huge help. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. I got lucky with that too. I've gotten very fortunate with a lot of things. I mean, with Hardy, repping my stuff, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's a blessing. I can't thank those guys enough. You know what I mean? So.
Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for today. If you like this hat or that hat or that hat, or if you don't even like the hat, just go get it. Just go support.
And just check it out.
Y'all can find Nuthin Fancy at any social media, anywhere online. Go get you a hat. Go get you a shirt. Go support. And we'll see y'all later.
Appreciate you, Jackson.
Yeah, man.